Hi, welcome back to my story time with Nana. I have a whole new story for you about these United States of America. This is a pretty interesting story I think you're going to really like. Let's begin. Connecticut. The state of Connecticut is one of the original 13 colonies, and then it became the fifth state to join the United States of America. It's called the Constitution State because it is where some consider the first United States Constitution to have been written. Back then, it was called the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, and it served as the model for our Declaration of Independence today. Now, Connecticut is not a very large state, but it has 93 state parks. It has a whale as their state animal, sperm whale. The American robin is the state bird, and the state tree is the charter oak. But did you know that Connecticut has a castle? That's right, a castle. And Charley has an amazing adventure at the Gillette Castle. 8-year-old Charlotte, or Charley, as her friends and family called her, loved an adventure. And today, Mommy had a great one planned for her. Charley lives in Wallingford, Connecticut. And even though it's a small state, there's so much to see and do. Charley, breakfast is ready, Mommy called up the stairs. Coming, she yelled back and slipped on her shoes and ran down to the kitchen. Are you ready for today's adventure? Mommy asked, pressing the waffle maker down onto the batter. I sure am, Charley answered. But right now, I'm more interested in those waffles you're making. Are those blueberries in there? Yes, they are. I wanted to make sure you had a good breakfast this morning. We're going to be pretty busy. I can't wait. When are you going to tell me where we're going today? Soon. But first, how about a perfect blueberry waffle? Mommy said, flipping the waffle onto a plate. She set it in front of Charley. And how about some homemade blueberry syrup? Ah, that is perfect. Charley smiled, spooning the syrup onto her waffle. Thank you, Mommy. You're welcome, dear. Mommy finished cooking her waffle and sat at the table. She smothered her waffle with the blueberry syrup, too. Yummy! After breakfast, Mommy and Charley cleaned up the breakfast dishes and headed out for their adventure. An hour later, they pulled into the Chester Hadline Ferry parking lot. We're taking a ferry ride? Charley asked. We are, Mommy answered, but it's the destination that's the adventure. Look across the water and up the hill. Is that a castle? It is. Well, it's not a real castle, but the person who built it wanted it to look just like one. Well, it looks like a real castle to me. Well, that's what William Gillette wanted people to think, Mommy replied. Let's take the ferry over and do some exploring. She pulled the car up to the line for the ferry. Are we taking the car on the ferry? We are, Mommy answered. We'll ride over on the ferry and then drive home from the Gillette Castle. There's another cool thing I want to show you on our way home. The cars began to move and soon Mommy was driving onto the ferry. A few minutes later, the ferry began to trek across the Connecticut River. And even though it was a short ride, less than 10 minutes, the views were beautiful. The river is lined with woodlands and a castle up on a hill. Once the ferry docked, Mommy and the rest of the passengers with cars drove off the ferry. Mommy drove the short road up the hill to the castle. Charley was very excited to be able to explore this amazing stone building. After Mommy parked, they joined the tour group, and their guide, Alex, explained they would be entering the home built by William Gillette, an American silent film actor from the early 1900s. He was most famous for his portrayal of Sherlock Holmes. Originally, this castle was called the Seventh Sister, Alex started as they entered the castle. Mr. Gillette called it that because it sits atop the last hill of this string of 7 hills along the Connecticut River. Now, supposedly, Mr. Gillette would boat along the river often, and when he saw this spot, he knew this was where he wanted to live, and he was going to build the most amazing home. I wonder if Mr. Gillette ever dreamed that nearly 350,000 people would tour his castle every year. The group entered the foyer that led to the great room, and oh, what a great room it was. The ceilings were as high as the sky. At least it seemed that way to Charley. The walls were made of wood and stone. It was exactly what she imagined a castle would look like inside. There was a built-in sofa, stone columns, beautiful wooden staircases. It was amazing. Alex led the group through the castle, showing them how every door was different. Mirrors were strategically placed around the castle to spy on guests, and the castle even had a secret passage, just as Charley imagined it would. Charley and Mommy learned a lot about Mr. Gillette and the castle. So, what did you think? Mommy asked as they walked back to the car. It was pretty cool, Charley answered. I liked that all 47 of the doors in the castle had its very own handcrafted design and locking mechanism. That must have taken a lot of time and planning. I think so too, Mommy said. We're going to have to come back and do some more exploring, she told Charley. How about we stop and have some lunch before our next adventure? Can we get pizza? I think we can do that, Mommy said. I have a place in mind. Hop in the car. It's not very far from here. 15 minutes later, Mommy was pulling into a restaurant parking lot along the Connecticut River called Gelston House Restaurant and Inn. This place looks fancy, Mommy. Do you think they'll even have pizza? Oh, I checked their menu online this morning, Mommy answered. They have interesting pizzas. Come on, let's go check them out. The restaurant looked like a large white house with porches and sunrooms. There were tables set up in the sunrooms and porches and even on the lawns near the river. Turns out it wasn't just a restaurant. You could stay the night there too. Why'd you pick this restaurant, Mommy? Oh, you'll see. Let's see if we can sit out by the water. Mommy and Charley checked in with the hostess. Hello, welcome to Gelston House. Do you have a reservation? The woman asked. I do. Jessica and Charley Johnson. I reserved a table for 2 on the lawn by the river. Ah, yes. My name is Abigail. I'll be happy to get you seated, the woman said, checking the registry and grabbing 2 menus. Follow me. You asked for a view of the Haddam Bridge. They followed the woman out to the back lawn. She led them to their table. Your waitress will be out shortly to get your order. You're just in time. Keep an eye on the bridge, Charley. In about 20 minutes, you will see something amazing. What's so special about the Haddam Bridge, Mommy? Charley asked when Abigail left them. You'll see, Mommy smiled. It's a different kind of bridge. It's called a swing bridge. I checked the Connecticut River traffic, and in about 15 minutes, a large boat is going to need to pass that bridge. And then what? Charley asked her. We get to watch the bridge make way for the boat. How will it make way? The bridge doesn't look very high. You wait and see. Hello, a young woman said. My name is Ginny. I'll be your server for today. Looks like you have the best table with the view of the swinging bridge. Can I take your order? Hello, Ginny, Mommy answered. We're gonna order a Sassy Sue's pizza and 2 glasses of squirt. Excellent choice. That's my favorite pizza, Ginny replied. Be back in a jiffy. Mommy and Charley talked about their adventure at the Delight Castle while they waited for their pizza to arrive. Suddenly, Mommy pointed to the bridge. Charley, look! Here comes the boat now. Charley watched in wonder as the boat slowed and the bridge began to rotate on a pivot, separating from connecting bridges on each side of the river and spinning ever so slowly. The boat waited until there was enough room and then passed through. The East Haddam Swing Bridge swung back into place as if it was never separated from the bridges on each side of the river. Oh my goodness, did you see that, Mommy? I did, Mommy said. Pretty cool, huh? Yes! Oh, when I get home, I'm going to do some research to see exactly how the swing bridge works, Charley told her. Can we go home that way? I want to tell my friends all about my day at the Delight Castle and that I rode over a bridge that swung in a circle instead of lifting up. They won't believe it. Yes, that is how we're going to go home, Mommy answered. But first, here comes Ginny with our pizza. Mommy and Charley enjoyed their Sassy Sue pizza and squirt. Charley had had a great day. She rode a ferry, visited a castle, and watched a bridge turn on a swivel. She couldn't wait to tell her friends. The end. Wow. Can you imagine visiting a castle, seeing a bridge spin instead of lift? Oh my gosh, that must have been so exciting. I wonder what cool things there are around where you live. Do you have bridges? Do you have a castle? You're going to have to check that out. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening in tonight. Don't forget to share my stories. I'll see you then. Mwah!